I thank the distinguished gentlelady from Ohio for yielding, as well as for the tremendous job that you have done anchoring the CBC special order along with our good friend, the distinguished gentlelady from Illinois. It reminds me back at home, sometimes the pastor in my church would have a guest preacher come and deliver the sermon for the occasion, and the guest preacher will do so well that he'll remark afterward, it's a dangerous thing when you bring that type of preacher to the pulpit because the congregation may not want the main preacher to come back again. And you and Congresswoman Kelly have done such a tremendous job. Certainly, Stephen Horsford and I are at risk of losing our anchor positions. But nonetheless, we thank you for all that you have done. It was a particular honor on Friday, along with Congresswoman Yvette Clarke and Congresswoman Kelly and Greg Meeks and Charlie Rangel, to be at the official unveiling held by the United States Postal Service of the Shirley Chisholm stamp to commemorate the life and times of this tremendous woman, this member of Congress, this trailblazer, all that she had done. I recall that she once made an observation to a young person who was considering a career in public service and asked Congresswoman Chisholm whether he should pursue this or not. And Congresswoman Chisholm responded by saying to this young man interested in public service, well, if you decide to run for office, don't be a career politician, she said, be a statesperson. And Representative Chisholm explained that the difference is a career politician is only concerned with the next election, but a statesperson is concerned with the next generation. And as we stand here today, we'd all do well to take that piece of advice that Congresswoman Chisholm uttered decades ago as it relates to the policy agenda connected to the theme, when women succeed, America succeeds. Because in order for that to be possible, we also have to be sensitive to what we are doing for the next generation of young people in the context of child care availability, universal pre-K, strengthening the Head Start program that has served so many over decades. What are we doing for the next generation to make sure that women in particular who are raising up the future leaders of America are equipped with the resources and the ability to provide them with the best possible upbringing? Now, 50 years ago in this chamber, President Lyndon Baines Johnson spoke before a joint session of Congress, and he declared a war on poverty. And we know that as a result of that initiative, there were several legislative programs that were enacted into law between 1964 and 1966, Medicare, Medicaid, Head Start, School Breakfast Program, Food Stamp Act, College Work Study, Minimum Wage Enhancement. All of these programs taken together contributed in a meaningful way to lifting millions of people out of poverty. Now, we know as we stand here today, we still got a lot of work to be done, but instead of there being a war on poverty, what we've seen far too often during this congressional session and the previous one is a war on women. And that's unfortunate, that we've gone from trying to lift people up and give them an opportunity to pursue the American dream to failing to deal with the issues that women in America face today, and in some instances aggressively trying to roll back rights that were hard fought and acquired over the years. Now, as the President mentioned, in this State of the Union that we all witnessed over the last week, that women in America make 77 cents for every dollar that a man earns. President Obama called it an embarrassment. I agree with that statement. It's also a national outrage. How can it be the case that in America in 2014, we're still allowing for such significant pay disparity that, as Congresswoman Lee pointed out, is even worse for women of color? And so we've got to move forward under the principle to bring to life the notion that one should be provided equal pay for equal work. Second thing that we can do is to deal with this minimum wage issue that we have in America. As was pointed out earlier today, 2/3 of minimum wage earners in America are women. And so the failure to raise the minimum wage, to have indexed it appropriately for inflation, to account for cost of living increases in America, disproportionately adversely affects women in this country. And the reality is, with a minimum wage of $7.25 per hour, a woman in America can work full-time, 35 hours per week, across an entire year, and in attempting to raise a family, fall well below the federal poverty line. It's the classic definition of working poor. And so the failure to raise the minimum wage has consequences for women, for the family, and for the overall well-being of communities all across America, particularly when considering the fact that in 40% of American households, women are either the primary or the sole breadwinner. And so that means, particularly as it relates to some of our good friends on the other side of the aisle who often express concern for family values, and I share that concern, the best family value is a good paycheck. Because if you ensure that when people are working hard, they're paid well for it, then we're ensuring that they have the capacity to take care of their families, of which women increasingly are the sole or primary breadwinners. And so I just commend my distinguished colleagues, Representative Kelly and Representative Beatty, the dynamic duo of the CBC freshman class, for all that they have done and will continue to do on behalf of women, communities of color, and America in the context of their tremendous advocacy. And I yield back my time. Thank you.